Vino Rosso on Smokin' and Drinkin'. Hey, welcome back to Smokin' and Drinkin'. I'm Mike, and today we're going to make Vino Rosso wine. This is a wine concentrate that I got from California Concentrate Company. They were generous enough to send me a few samples. This is a California varietal vintage 2023, and it's called Vino Rosso. I believe that is a blend of red grapes, but we're hoping for kind of a Pinot Noir slash Merlot type of blend or flavor. Shooting for a Pinot, should we call it that? Or more Merlot Noir. I don't know what we'll call it, but hopefully we'll get that kind of a blend. So let's get started. What we're going to do, we have, as I said, the Vino Rosso concentrate. That is about 1 quart. It is 1 quart, and we are going to add 96 ounces of purified drinking water, and we're going to add some fermented O to give it something, to give the yeast something extra to some extra nutrient. And we're going to, I don't know if this is necessary, but we're going to add a little pectic enzyme. I don't know how many pectins. That pectic enzyme breaks down the pectins in fruit like grapes. In this case, since it's a concentrate, I'm not sure how much it'll actually do, but we're going to add it in there anyway. We're going to add acid blend because the Vino Rosso should be a little less acidic than a Merlot or a Pinot. So we're going to do a little acid blend in there. I've got North Mountain acid blend, North Mountain pectic enzyme, and we're also going to add North Mountain wine tannin, powdered wine tannin. We want to have this be a little bit tannic, so we could use black tea, steeped or brewed, just about 4 ounces of water and a black tea bag, not a flavored tea, just a black tea bag. That would work too. I'm in kind of a hurry, so we're going to do the wine tannin to give it that mouth feel, that tannic aspect to it, because there are no skins or seeds or stems or leaves or bugs or anything else in there. This is pure concentrate, so you don't get a lot of tannic value out of that alone. So we need to add a little bit to it. And then, of course, for the yeast, we're going to use Lalvin EC1118. So we'll use a whole pouch. This one packet will make 5 gallons, but I've had this a while. It does go bad after a while, so we'll use the whole packet. So let's get started. We have our 1 gallon fermenter, and I have my funnel here. We're going to need the funnel. Everything you see has been sanitized in our sand tub with Star San, and so we'll make sure we don't have any infections or anything bad getting introduced into our wine. But so first thing we need to do is add our concentrated grape juice. Move that to the side so you're not in front of my face. They've got this funky seal on it. It's like a thick rubber, almost like plastic tape or something. It seals it off well, but it's interesting. Just pretty wild. But we'll just peel that off. It is kind of like tape. I can already tell just by looking through the bottle. It is thick. So let's just get this opened up. Oh, that's got an interesting, usually I say it smells like grape jelly, but that's got an interesting extra fruity flavor to it, or smell to it. I don't know about the flavor yet, but smells delicious. Let's go ahead and get, when you're using the funnel, you want to lift it up from the mouth. You don't want it sealed off, or you'll just get bubbles and gurgling, and you want it to flow through there real nice. Oh, that is dark. Love it. Love that color. When I was a kid, I always wanted to, my dream was to restore old cars, classic cars. I mean, we're talking the old ones back to the 30s. But I always thought that would be a great color for a car. But anyway, I've really gotten off the path here. Okay, so there's still quite a bit in there. So we're going to take some of our water and we're going to add it into the jar. I want to get every last drop out of there. There's even quite a bit on the lid. So I'm just going to have to seal that up tight. Give it a good shake. Get every last drop out of there. Also help kind of rinse whatever's in the funnel too, which there really wasn't a lot in there. Okay. Now, whoops, making a mess again. Have to get my rag in a minute. Okay. Now we need to add some more water. I'm going to add about half of it. I'm not going to add all of it just yet. Shouldn't have to add any sugar to it. This should be plenty of fermentable sugars in there. And I'm going to stop there. And we're going to add some of our, why are we stopping? Let's add it all in there, or most of it. We need a little room to mix at the end, but the reason I'm stopping short, it's harder to mix all this other stuff in there. You want all your tannins and your acid blend and everything to be mixed in there real well. And it's just easier to mix half full jar than a full jar. I'm going to grab a rag. I'll be right back. Those of you who know me know I'm a messy Marvin. So I have a rag. Okay, let's set this aside for now. And let's add let's start with our Fermade O. This is a yeast nutrient, and it looks like I am almost out. I'm going to have to order some more. I just get it off of Amazon, you know, where I get just about everything off of Amazon. I'm going to put 5 grams of Fermade O in this. Okay. We put our vessel on there, and we need to tear it out. We don't want to weigh the dish. Okay, settle down. All right. I used to just use 2 grams, and I don't know, sometimes I get a stall. Anyway, over time I've experimented, and I'm up to 5 grams. I think that's a pretty good measurement. So I think this is going to take pretty much everything I've got left here. We may not make it to 5 grams. We are at 3.5 grams. So that's just going to have to do. Well, that's disappointing. Need to get busy on reordering my supplies. We'll just add that in there. It's going to go in the funnel here. That's another reason we didn't add all the water. So we can make sure and get it all rinsed down. Usually I will mix some water in, and that way it doesn't clump, but we're going to give it a good shake or a stir here towards the end, and that will certainly get those clumps broken up. And if there's clumps, the yeast will consume it. It doesn't care. It doesn't like its gravy lumpy. So, all right, next we're going to add some acid blend, 1 teaspoon per gallon. 1 teaspoon. Okay. Sounded like a lot, but that's okay. We follow instructions. 1 teaspoon. Again, I sanitize these and let them air dry so they don't get my powder all clumpy. I actually did think ahead for some of this. There's 1 teaspoon of acid blend. And then the controversial pectic enzyme, 1/2 teaspoon per gallon. Again, I don't really know if it's going to do anything or not, but here's my 1/2 teaspoon. Add that to it. And we're going to add our wine tannin, North Mountain Supply wine tannin, 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon per gallon. Doing some research, and the Vino Rosso is not quite as tannic as a Merlot or a Pinot. So I'm going to go on the lighter side and go 1/4 teaspoon. So I have 1/8 here. I didn't bring the 1/4, so we'll do 2 of these. And again, all of these powders, usually I'll mix them into a little dish, a little bigger than that, but I didn't plan that far ahead. So we'll just do what we do. There's 1. And 2. That is 1/4 teaspoon. Okay. Done with our additives. So we're going to add a little more water to get all of that rinsed down. There's a big chunk of it there. To help it a little bit. This is why I mix it in a dish with some water. We don't have to fight it in the funnel, but oh well. I make these mistakes so you don't have to. There we go, most of it out of there. It's not an exact science. Okay, I want to leave a little room in the fermenter. Whoa, need to find my stopper. And we're going to give this just a good shake. Get it all mixed up real good. Maybe that powder won't clump quite so bad. It's gonna. All right. And will we have spittage? No. Oop, little bit of spitting. Not too bad. Kept it contained. They spit. That's the way it goes. All right. So we need to add the rest of our water. We've got all of our additives. We'll add the yeast last. Let's go ahead and add the rest of our water. Try and get most of the sanitization liquid off. It won't hurt it if you get some in there. There's not enough, a significant amount to dilute it. Oh, we're adding water anyway. What am I kidding? And the Star San is safe for human consumption. It is food grade, so don't have to worry about that. It'd be kind of bad if we were putting non-food grade sanitizer in with our stuff here. So, all right, we got a lot of foam on top, so it's a little hard to gauge where a gallon is. Well, we know where a gallon is. I measured a gallon here, so well, this was 96 ounces plus the juice concentrate. So, oh, we got foam overage. Should have expected that. That's all right. We'll just let that sit for a minute while I talk about the Star San. The Star San solution is, as I said, food grade, but it is a little bit acidic. So, and you definitely don't want to drink right out of the bottle. Keep out of the reach of children. Do not swallow. That's the concentrated version. We're just using a very small diluted amount of that. But as I was saying, it is a little bit acidic. So your plastic and rubber items, like your turkey baster and any paddles or your stoppers, anything plastic or rubber, your airlocks, you don't want to leave them in there too long because it is a bit acidic and it will degrade the plastics and rubbers in there. So you're into the lesson. Let's take a gravity reading. That is a lot of foam. We'll get through it. We are going to take a gravity reading to see where we are. I've never used this concentrated juice before, this particular variety. We may have to wait till this foam goes down. Or I'm going to have a mess. Maybe we can work through it. I don't want so much foam in my cylinder, though. Makes it hard to read. Boy, that smells good. Still seems thick, too. We did shake that, right? Well, we'll know in a minute here. If you don't shake it up, you're going to have a higher than a false reading, and it's going to be higher than it actually is. Okay, get some of the foamy out of the way here. Come on, get out of the way. Give it a spin. They say that helps. Yeah, sometimes it does. Okay, we are at 1.06246. 1.066. So at that level, let's get our calculator out. As you know, we calculate specific gravity by, or our alcohol by volume, excuse me, taking your starting gravity of 1.066. And if it ferments to dry, it would be 1.0. So we subtract 1. That gives us 0.066 points of gravity times our coefficient, which I use 131.25. 131.25. That will give us 8.66% alcohol by volume. I'd like it to be a little higher than that. Well, we'll add some sugar. Okay, so we're going to add a little sugar. So I've got my scale. While I was sitting here for a minute or two, this came up. I don't know if the foam was holding it, but it is about 1.072 now. 1.072. So it's still not bad. That would put us about almost 9%. 1.072 minus 1 times 131.25. Do that every time. 1.072 minus 1.0 equals 0.072 times 131.25, 9.45. That is, 9.45, 9.5%. That's wine ish. But we're going to get this up to almost 1.10. We're going to add a half a pound of sugar. Normally I'd put that on the scale and tear it out and add the sugar, but this scale only goes up to 11 pounds, and this is almost 11. It's about 10 and a half pounds right there. So we're going to have to do this a little differently. I want to add half a pound. I'm not sure this is going to be big enough. I need a bigger one of these. Be right back. Okay. This will work. Get this zeroed out, set on pounds. Okay, back to zero. We need half a pound, 8 ounces. Don't want to rest the bag on the vessel. That will tip the scale. Perfect. Perfect plus Okay, we have half a pound of sugar. We're going to add that to our must. And leave that out just to give me a little room to mix. And of course the foam will go nuts again. And okay, can't find my phone. Let's see how good I am at this. I doubt if I'm any good at all. This is going to be a catastrophe. Nope, not going to work. Got to get the funnel. Here it is. Had it right there in front of me the whole time. All right, now I can pour crazy. The funnel was just a little wet, so we're going to lose a little bit of the sugar to stickage, but that's okay. And of course, it's going to not want to come out due to stickage. We'll get there. Might have to be right back. Well, I had chopsticks, don't know where they went. I'll use a skewer. We'll just help this along here. You know, I make these mistakes, so you don't have to. That's just what I do for you. Let's get most of that in there. We're not going to get it all, but we're going to have to add that back in, so eventually we can rinse the rest of that out. Okay, we got to shake it up because all that sugar just settled on the bottom, and to get an accurate reading, we've got to have all of that sugar dissolved. So let's get to shaking. You can see all that. I don't know if you can see it, but I can sure see it. There's a lot of sugar on the bottom. And because this is so full, not a lot of room to shake. But what we are doing, we're adding oxygen to our must, which helps the yeast build their colonies. Before alcohol is present, you want oxygen. After alcohol is present, when the yeast start doing their job, you do not want alcohol. You do not want oxygen, because that can, in extreme cases, create vinegar. And we're not making vinegar. I mean, if you want to make vinegar, add oxygen. But yeah, there's still quite a bit on the bottom there. So we're going to have to give it some more shakeage. Yeah, there's quite a bit down there. This could take a while. We'll have to cut away. We'll be back. The good news is I got my upper body workout for today. After I've shaken it for quite a while, I want to just let it sit and make sure I don't see any sugar on the bottom. Finally, I think we've got it well mixed. So now we can add that little bit back in. That's in our cylinder. Wow, that baby is stuck on there good. And that's going to bring us right up to critical mass. We'll probably end up having to use a blow-off tube. Otherwise, we'll have a volcano. That's okay. It's just a tube in the stopper going into a jar of sanitizer solution. No big deal. But this foam is going to be a pain in the keister. We just have to let it settle. Go a little bit at a time here. I want to get all of that back in there. And really should shake it again. But that just creates more foam. And then you got it. But if you don't do it, then you have false readings. I know, but I don't want to have the foam in there. Okay, well, we'll just go slow. Won't make you wait and watch. Be back in just a minute. All right, we got the foam down to a minimum. Well, below the lip anyway, so we can work with it. All right, we need to do another gravity reading, and I do need to give it one turn just to make sure. And of course, the one time it spits is when I'm not ready for it to spit. Always be ready for the spittage. Just makes a mess, but that's okay. You know me, Messy Marvin. All right, let's get a gravity reading and get on with this. I've been messing around with this long enough. Hopefully we are at 1.090 or maybe even 1.10. That would be ideal. Just can't get away from the foam. Okay. Well, we're floating now. Sometimes you can kind of break up some of the foam if you're careful. .090. I can take that. 1.090 minus 1.0 equals times 131.25, 11.8%. If it ferments to dry, or 1.0, we're good. We're almost 12%. If it goes below 1, we will definitely hit 12%. That's okay. That is good enough for me. Those of you might want more alcohol by volume, just drink more. Okay, this is definitely going to require a blow-off tube, because that is going to be, it's going to foam up like Magic Mountain. Alrighty. So, don't forget, we need to add our yeast. I almost forgot. So, let's take our Lalvin EC 1118 and we're going to add the whole packet. A lot of that's going to sit on the foam, but when that foam dissipates, it'll get down into the must and do its job. That foam, it's just a pain. Oh well. It is what it is. Yeah, it's all just sitting on top like a pile. Maybe if we take our skewer, give it a little stir. Like I said, eventually it'll get down in there, but I don't like that. I like to see it sinking down into the... I know how we can get it off of there. We can give it a shake. I just don't know. See, that's the thing. It doesn't come off then. It sticks on there. It's okay. I'm seeking help. Yeah, it's just like a paste. It's all right. It'll get down in there. You know, once the foam dissipates, I'll give it a good shake and all will be fine. It will be fine, Mike. All right, we just need our airlock and the stopper. And I always use Star San solution, because if you just use water, little bugs and fruit flies, they can just swim right through it. Okay, put that on there. Let it sit. We'll check back in a week or two, however long it takes, and we'll see you then. Okay, we're back with our Vino Rosso wine. It's been 3 weeks, mostly because, kind of got busy, but it's been pretty active for a while. We had to put a blow off tube on, but it settled down. Still putting off some, I think it's off gassing. There were still a few bubbles in the airlock, but like I said, I think that's just carbon dioxide. Let's get in here and see where we're at. Take a reading. When we started, our original gravity was 1.072, I believe. Yes, 1.072. It's a little low. It's about 9%. I'd like to have it a little higher, but that's okay. 9% just means we get to drink more. So let's get a reading here. Wow, that is a pretty color. Vino Rosso, I believe, means red wine, which is what it is. We're kind of going for, the Vino Rosso is similar to a Pinot Noir. It also has some characteristics of a Merlot. So, two of my favorite wines. So, I'm excited to see how this is. Oh yeah, that baby fermented totally dry. We are sitting at 0.990. That is as low. Well, the scale does go a little lower than that. I've never seen anything lower than a 0.990. So let's just see what that comes out at. We started at 1.072 minus 1.0 is 0.072 times 131.25 gives us 9.45. We'll call it 9.5%. That's not bad. Oh, it smells really good. That is, that's got a nice mellow aroma to it. Yeah, not real heavy, not a lot of alcohol bite in there. That's nice. Okay, so let's, we'll rack this to a pitcher. Do we want to rack it to the pitcher, or do we want to rack it? It's still a little, yeah, it's still a little cloudy. I think what we're going to do is we're going to rack it to a 1 gallon fermenter, and we will let it sit. We might cold crash it, put it in the refrigerator, see if it'll clear up some more. We haven't added anything to it. We could add something to, bentonite or something like that to clear it. But I like to just give it time, and cold crashing does a lot of good for it. Before we rack it, let's go ahead and pour a little bit off and see what it tastes like. Smells good. I'm betting it's going to taste good too. We'll just take a little bit here. Yeah, that still needs some time to clear. It's pretty hazy yet. So, oh boy, that smells delicious. That's really good. It's still pretty young. It seems, yeah, it's young. It's going to need to sit for a while and age a little bit, but we didn't add anything as far as oaking. You know what? We might do that. We might rack it over, add some oak staves, I think that would really help give it some more body. So I think that's what we're going to do. Oh yeah, that's going to be really nice. I was just reading about the Vino Rosso, and it says it's a fresh and winey taste with hints of ripe red fruits, cherry, light herby notes. It's well balanced, smooth but sapid, leaves pleasant velvety sensation in the mouth. So I think we are right on. It was still a little young, so I wasn't, really paying attention to the flavor notes, but we'll give it a little time and some oak, put a little body to it, and I think that's going to be right on the mark. So I took my oak stave. It's a French oak, medium French oak toasted stave. I put it in some water and put it in the microwave for 3 minutes to help sanitize it and open up the pores on the wood, and mostly to sanitize it. And we can put that in there even though it's hot. We don't care if it kills any yeast that are in there. We're done fermenting. I don't think there's anything yet left for the yeast to ferment. So we're just going to go ahead and drop that in there, and that'll do its thing. And all you do, drop it in there, and that gives it kind of simulates oaking in oak barrels, because as you know, in the vineyards and the wineries, they age their wine in oak barrels, and that gives it that full bodiness to it. Some of that adds some of that mouth feel. So this works really well. I've done that several times already with these oak staves. I started out using the little oak cubes. Those work too. They're just more work to clean up when you're done. This is one stave. It's easy to clean up. You just I get about 2 uses out of each stave. This is the second time using this one. So after that, I'll go ahead and drop it out in the garden or something and composter. But that should help give it a real nice rounded flavor. So we're just going to let that sit for probably, I don't want to oak it too long, 3 or 4 days maybe, and hopefully some of that'll it'll clear out some. I'll probably put it in the refrigerator to help with the clearing. Cold crashing it is what they call that, and we'll check back, and we'll see how it ends up. Okay, we're back with the Vino Rosso. So we put a French oak stave in to give it some body. That was 5 days ago. We don't want a real strong oak flavor. Vino Rosso is supposed to be kind of a mellow but medium bodied red wine. So 3 to 5 days is a pretty good length. So let's get this open, get a taste, and then get it racked to the bottles. I'm excited. If I remember right, 5 days ago, it smelled delicious and beautiful burgundy color. Oh yeah, that's pretty wonderful. That smell is delicious. Okay, let's get the oak stave out of there, and we're just gonna sanitized my hand along with all my hands and all of the equipment we're using. So we're just going to throw that in the sanitization bucket, the sand tub, and let's get this racked over to a pitcher so we know how much we have. Looks like pretty close to a gallon. All right. And whoa, a little drip, not too bad. As always, we're just a few ounces shy of a gallon. You lose some in the process. That's just to be expected. So well, that's all right. Let's get our Drip cleaned up here. Okay, so yep, we are just, this is the 3,750 milliliters. That would be 5 bottles or 1 gallon. We're just, yeah, maybe 6-8 ounces, maybe shy of a gallon. So that's all right. That's why we have our 16-ounce bottles. That becomes our refrigerator taster. We have that with dinner or something. So, all right. So let's get our bottles, get set up for racking with bottles, racking to the bottles. You know what? Before we do that, let's give it another taste. See how that oak changed the flavor profile here. Just enough for a nice taste. Nice mellow flavor or nose to it. That's nice. Good full body. Get a little bit of that mouthfeel now. You know when you eat grapes, and you kind of get that pucker, or when you drink tea and you get that kind of dryness on your tongue, kind of that pucker, that's mouthfeel, that's the body. This has a nice body to it. Good flavor on the back. I taste dark berries or like cherries. Maybe just a hint of, just a slight hint of vanilla. Almost a coffee flavor. Just a very slight hint, but that's delicious. That turned out real nice. All right, so let's get our bottles set up and we'll get them in the box. We got 4 full bottles and 1 taster, about half full. A little bit of a sip for myself, and was able to tease a little bit in by lifting the bottling wand up to the top and pressing the stem valve against the neck and bring that up to inside the neck so that we reduce that headspace. So we'll go ahead and get these corked and be right back. All right. If you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know that I use a stand corker to put the corks in these. It's pretty simple. It doesn't take long at all. Put your bottle in there. Again, if you want to see these, I do have a bottling video. Getting tired of hearing me say that yet? I am. Put your cork in there, press down on it, give it a little pressure, and it pops it right in there. You always want to soak your corks in warmish water with star sand in there. Helps open up the pores, get the cork nice and wet, gets it to expand the cell membranes a little bit, and it sanitizes the cork as well. Always want to keep your corks moist once you've got wine in your bottles. It's a pretty quick process. A lot of times I'll do 4 or 5 gallons worth of wine at a time just because it's such a quick process. Didn't quite go down as far as I like it. You want to have it pretty much flush. There we go. All right. And that's how we do it. I like to dress them up, show them off a little bit. I have some shrink wrap sleeves that go over the top, cork covers. Just drop them on and you heat them with a heat gun or hair dryer, and shrinks around the cap. And then I make some labels with just the computer and the printer, just to kind of fancy it up a little bit. We're calling this Crimson Prairie. We live on the prairie. It's a nice, beautiful crimson color. Like to have a little fun with the names, but it's a Vino Rosso. So there you have it. That's the process. Thanks again for tuning in. Remember to like and subscribe, and as always, Prost!